Good afternoon and welcome to the Return Homestead. My name is Mike and my wife Marty and I homestead 6 acres in northeastern Kentucky. Today we are working on getting our fruit production going. We've got elderberries in the pot. These are American elderberries that we brought from our last homestead. All we did was grab some sticks, shoved them down in the dirt, and guys, look at this. These things are growing. It's the end of the season and yet they put off lots of green shoots. We're going to try to get them in the ground because we've got some cold weather coming. Going to be down into the 30s and possibly down into the teens coming up later this week. So we don't want these sitting outside in pots. So we want to get this into the ground so it doesn't have any chance of freezing. So when you're planting elderberries, you do need 2 different varieties. We have a Johns and an Adams here. One's early, one's late. It doesn't really matter as long as it's 2 different varieties of elderberry because you do want cross-pollination. And the reason we're using American elderberry is the European variety is a little bit more toxic, a lot harder on the stomach. If you stick with the American varieties and take some care in preparing them, you shouldn't have any problems with any toxicity from the berries. Now, this is a brand new property for us, and if you've studied homesteading at all, you know one of the first things you need to do on a new property is get your fruit trees in, because you're looking at anywhere from 2 to 3 years before you see any kind of a harvest on most trees. Elderberry is a little bit different. As long as we can get the roots in the ground, they will produce fruit on the very first year, and every year they'll come back. So you cut this back every year, and every year it pops right back up again. And we want to get the elderberry in because this has been sort of our mainstay anytime we think about our immune system. That's what we reach for, is something with the elderberry in it. We've got elderberry tinctures, we've got elderberry syrup, elderberry jams. There's lots of different ways that we can get that elderberry into us when we're feeling like we need to boost the immune system a little bit. So we're going to get these elderberries in the ground now so that come midsummer we're going to have plenty of them coming in. Come along with us while we get this row started. I don't know how many rows we'll get in. I'm not sure how many plants we have, but we're just going to get them started and get them lined up here along the driveway, and that way we'll have the elderberries when the season comes. Now you may be wondering why we've got such big shovels when all we have is little sticks that we need to put in the ground. A hand trowel would actually be better for planting the elderberry, but these are our measuring sticks. So we want to be 5 feet off of the driveway so the shovel shows us where we need to dig and where we need to put the next plant. We want to go 6 feet or 4 feet in between plants, so we'll use the other smaller shovel to go in between plants. And so those are our measuring sticks, plus they're really helpful for digging. Really excited about the prospect of getting sheep out on this stuff. This grass is thick. I mean, this is at least 3 or 4 inches worth of root before you get down to the clay substrate. Too bad chickens don't graze like sheep do. Some pretty happy chickens.
Does that have a good root base?
Yep.
So they tell you, yeah, it does. Sweet.
Don't bring the camera over?
Yeah.
So all we do is stick the stick in the ground, and you can see that it immediately started growing roots and then even started to produce some growing shoots. Now these won't produce any fruit. They won't have enough time. They'll freeze out here in the next few days, but the roots will be safe in the ground. And that way in the springtime, when everything warms up, these things are just going to start shooting up.
Now they tell you not to start these until spring. I started them at the very end of the summer going into, well, no, at the end of fall,
Yep.
into the winter. I'm a garden rebel. I try everything, and it worked just fine. So just because you read it online doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
No, not everything you read online is necessarily true. It's a great place to go to get information to get you started, but you need to do your own research and experiment. come out and do things like stick elderberry in the ground in the fall instead of in the springtime.
Now these things will get to be about 8 to 10 feet tall and about 4 to 6 feet wide.
So at 4 to 6 feet, we want to make sure that they're at least 4 feet apart. It's okay for these elderberries to hold hands. We just don't want the rows to connect to each other because we need a lawnmower to be able to go down in between them. So there's elderberry number 1. We need the other elderberries.
I'll get
We'll
it.
alternate. So even something like this, you know, there's no green on top of this. Most folks would think you don't plant this, but that stick is already dead, but the roots are growing like crazy. So we just gotta make sure those stay in the ground, in contact with soil, and come springtime, they'll pop right up. These are pretty short sticks, so it doesn't take a lot of hole to support them. In fact, that's quite an easy way to plant them right there. So that's kind of nice. I cut a plug of grass out, pulled it out, just stuck the elderberry up against the outside of the hole and just shoved the wedge of grass back in there. It works out pretty good.
Nice root system.
Really strong.
Uh-huh.
We planted right there. We're going 4 feet out with this shovel, 5 feet out from the driveway with this shovel, and that shows us about where to dig. So that's where we plant.
It's a dip.
Occasionally you will find this. Oh, it's got some nice deep roots on it. We're still out here a couple hours later, still planting elderberries. We've moved on to the second row now, and we had some little bit of complications. So we were coming down through here planting, no problem, and then things just got a little bit squishy. So after this last elderberry went in the ground, Marty was noticing that we've got standing water. See, we've got quite a substantial puddle right here. We're at the top of a ridge, guys. So there's not really much above us for water to be coming down from, but this is apparently a spring popping up right here on the edge of our driveway. So we may exploit that or use that later on. We'll keep an eye on it and see just how wet it is and how wet it stays. We're not going to plant any elderberry on it right now. We are going to get back to planting those. So we just moved further uphill and kept planting. So we're going to keep going here.
Be a great place for cattails or hydrangeas or marshmallow.
Oh yeah, marshmallow would grow great in there. What about the mullein? It doesn't like all the super wet, does it?
No.
But the marshmallow,
Hydrangea.
hydrangea.
Root word is hydra.
What else? I mean, I've never really paid attention to what kind of food grows in swampy, super wet conditions. Rice, but that's controlled wet, right?
Yeah.
So you got to control that water. It has to be wet at the right times. Marshmallow is about the only one I can think of that typically grows in a very marshy, wet area.
Yes, hence the name.
We'll have to investigate. There's got to be other things we can grow here that we can eat.
Yep.
But let's get back to the elderberry. Same basic idea on the second row. We're using measuring sticks, but instead of using the shovel to measure how far out we are, we're using a 2x4 now. It's 8 feet. So we're trying to stay 8 feet apart on the rows to give us plenty of room to run a lawnmower down in between them.
Abraham was scared to die, forsook his wife within a lie. I think I know the reasons why, 'cause he was made of dirt. And Joseph's coat was full of pride. The blood of goats won't wash you white. If I was his brother, I'd have lied and left him in the dirt. Moses never entered in to lands he thought were promised him. He took his people round again to pick manna from the dirt. And Solomon became so wise, with many wives and concubines. He fell for every single lie. Yeah, his head was full of dirt. David's where I got my name, abusing power, abusing fame. He stole a girl, her husband slain, left 6 feet in the dirt. And Peter fell to his own shame, denied his love, denied his name. He ran away when the people came to nail him to the dirt. Samson only thought it fair to let that witch come cut his hair and look through eyes no longer there as he crushed them in the dirt. And Paul would sit upon his throne and kill us with the biggest stones and wrestle with the thorn unknown, a thorn up from the dirt.
White.
But if the nations had a father, then Joseph would redeem his brothers. Moses held the waters up, and David would become your love. Solomon would build but you can't see the dirt in me.
Right there. Yep, perfect. Marty's kind of marking these with the leftover potting mix, so we have some idea where they are. They're going to die off, and we'll get fresh new plants in the spring.
But the ones that I planted last November gave us fruit this year.
Yeah, so we got fruit right away from them. It's one of the reasons why we like elderberries. You can put it in the ground, and that year you can get some fruit off the plant. It may not be a lot,
but they're easy to propagate.
They are really easy to propagate. You literally just cut a stick off and shove it in the ground.
Well, I usually shave 2 spots on the stem to get through the cambium layer, and then I stick it in the ground there so it gives the roots a place to start from.
Y'all can see from these long shadows that we're getting well into the evening here.
I don't see the other ones.
We have run out of thyme and I think steam tonight.
No, actually I planted thyme.
You did plant thyme.
I did.
We've been putting a lot of herbs and other things in the ground. Marty's been putting ground cover, and her thyme is one of her ground covers that she likes, so it had to get in the ground so it could be protected from the cold that we've got coming. We're in such a hurry because it's supposed to get down into the 30s tonight.
And then in the 20s.
Yeah, and then on into the 20s over the next couple of days.
Plus they're predicting snow.
Yeah, so with the possibility of snow coming, we're just want to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect all of these plants that Marty's done such an amazing job of propagating and bringing along with us. It may not seem like that big a deal to put a few sticks in the ground, but if you consider that we were moving 2 houses, a barn, and a bunch of animals and machinery at the same time, it's quite an accomplishment. I'm gonna get a count real quick. I'm curious.
Okay. I may not have all of them.
So we got a quick count on what we put out here, and this is 70 elderberry plants that we just put in the ground.
Sweet.
How many gallons did you get off of a single plant this last year?
1.
1 gallon?
Yeah, 1 gallon.
So each plant producing 1 gallon, that's 70 gallons of elderberries. I don't know what we're going to do with 70 gallons of elderberries. We're going to have to figure out something.
Dehydrate them, freeze dry them.
Freeze dry, dehydrate.
I have mine in the freezer right now, so I still need to make syrup and tinctures from it. So if your elderberries are coming ripe, you can make the tea out of the flowers, and you can make syrup and tinctures out of the berries. And I just throw them in the freezer while I'm busy until I'm ready to make it up. So
that's the real nice thing about it, is you don't have to stop what you're doing elsewhere on the homestead and run in to process the elderberries. They can just go in the freezer until later. We do appreciate you joining us here on the Return Homestead today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please take a moment to do that. And while you have that window open, if you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up icon. That's going to let the algorithm know you enjoyed the video, and they'll share it out with more people. We'll see you next time.
God bless, and bye-bye.